Okay, we'll look at some of the homework problems that are in section 3-5. Like problem number 1, we want to use compatible numbers to compute 5 times 9 times 20 times 6. Alright, what I'm going to do here is the compatible numbers I'm going to use are 5 and 20, because I know 5 times 20, that will give me 100. And then, of course, 9 times 6, that will give me 54. So if I do 54 times 100, that will give me 5400. So 5 times 9 times 20 times 6 will be 5400 using the method of compatible numbers. Number 2 is using breaking and bridging to compute 267 plus 43 mentally. What I'm going to do is take that 267, I'm going to break up the 43 as 40 and 3, and then add 267. We'll start 267 plus 40. That will give me 307. And then 307 plus the remaining 3 will give me 310. So in this case, 267 plus 43 would be 310. All right, number 3 is this. A car trip took 8 hours at an average speed of 69 miles per hour. Mentally compute the total number of miles traveled. Okay, let's use some mental mathematics here. That 69 is 1 less than 70. So if I rewrite 69 as 70 minus 1, and then multiply that by 8, I can easily get my answer. Here 8 times 70 is 560, minus the 8 times 1, which is 8. So 8 from 560 will be 552. So that means that the number of miles traveled at an average speed of 69 miles per hour in 8 hours is 552 miles. All right, number 4 is to compute each of the following mentally. In part A, you get 234 plus 23. I'll use the breaking and bridging method. The 234, I'm going to break 23 up into 20 and 3. So if I add 234 plus 20, that's going to be 254. And then add that 254 to the remaining 3. That'd be 257. So here 234 plus 23 would be 257. And then part B, you got 320 plus 60 plus 80 plus 44 plus 40 plus 6. Let's use some compatible numbers here. 320 and 80, that's going to give me 400. 60 plus the 40, that's going to give me 100. And then 40 plus 6 is 50. 44 plus 6 will give me 50. Now I got 400 plus 100, that's 500, plus the 50, which will give me 550. So the sum of all those numbers would be 550. Okay, problem number 5 is rounding to the nearest hundred. Here we got the number 2,163. We want to round to the nearest hundred. We want to find the number that's in the hundreds place. That's the 1. The digit next to the 1 is the 6. That's going to tell me whether to round up or leave it as it is. If that digit to the right of it is less than 5, then the digit that I'm rounding to stays the same. But if the digit to the right of it is greater than 5, then we increase the digit that I'm rounding to the next number. In this case, my 6 is greater than 5, so I need to increase the 1 to a 2. And then the other digits behind it will change to zeros. So 2,163 rounded to the nearest hundred would be 2,200. All right, number 6, estimate the difference by rounding to the nearest thousand. And here we got 83,020 minus 39,505. Each digit we're going to round to, each number we're going to round to the nearest thousand. Like in that 83,020, the digit in the thousands place is a 3. Next to it is a 0. That 0, of course, is less than 5, so the 3 remains the same. So 83,020 will be 83,000, rounded to the nearest thousand. And then for the 39,505, the number in the thousands place is the 9. Next to it is a 5. That 5 is greater than or equal to 5. So we need to increase the 9 to a 0, but 39, the next digit, the next number will be 40. So this would become 40,000. 39,505 to the nearest thousand would be 40,000. Subtract that 40,000 from the 83,000, you're going to end up with 43,000. So an estimate for this difference will be 43,000. All right, number 7. Estimate the sum by rounding to the nearest thousand. And here's this number, right? Those 4 numbers. 4,062 plus 6,349 plus 7277 plus 4,099. In this case here, we're going to round each digit to the nearest thousand. 4,062. The digit in the thousands place is a 4. Next to it is a 0, so it stays 4,000. In 6,349, the thousands digit is a 6. Next to it is a 3. It's less than 5, so 60. So this will be at 6,000. 7,277. The digit in the thousands places is 7. Next to it is a 2. So this will remain 7,000. And then for 4,062, which was 4,000, so with 4,099, that'll also be 4,000. If we add these numbers together, that'd be 21,000. So an estimate for this particular sum would be 21,000. All right, next problem, problem number 8, where it says to use the range strategy to estimate the following. In this case, 31 times 54. Okay, we have to have a low estimate and a high estimate. 31, we want to find the multiples of 10, that's where 31 is in between. Where 31 is between 30 and 40. And 54 is between 50 and 60. Now this is going to represent the low estimate. This represents the high estimate. And then we're going to multiply the product of the low estimate and the product of the high estimate. 30 times 50, that's going to give us 1,500. 40 times 60, that's 2,400. So the product of 31 and 54 would be between 1,500 and 2,400. Okay, next problem. Mr. Curtis has a balance of $332 in his bank account. To pay some bills, he writes checks for $83, $57, and $89. What is his new balance? Okay, so pretty much if we add the amount of the checks that he's written, which is $83, $57, and $89, that'll be $229. So if we subtract 229 from the 332, we'll get $103. So the new balance in this case is $103. Now let's say we use front-end rounding estimates of the 3 check amounts and the beginning balance to estimate the new balance. Well, if we estimate $332, that would be like 300 If I do $83 as an estimate, that would be $80. $57 would be a good estimate, $60, and $89, an estimate would be $90. That would be $230. So if I do 230 minus 30, or 230 from 30, I'll have $70. So an estimate for that new balance would be $70. And that estimate is a bit less than the actual new balance. Number 10 is using front-end estimation to estimate the answer and then find the exact answer. Lisa's car gets 31 miles per gallon of gasoline. How many miles can she drive on 13 gallons of gas? Using front-end estimation, 31 miles would be 30 miles, and 13 miles will say that's 10 miles. So 330 times 10 is 300. So an estimate of the number of miles that Lisa can drive would be 300 miles. So let's find the exact number of miles. That's where we do the exact multiplication. 31 times 13. Let's see, 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 1 is 3. If we add the cross products, you'll get 403. So the exact number of miles that Lisa can drive would be 403 miles. Okay, number 11 is a rounding problem. Round to the nearest hundred. This number is 1932, so we're going to round to the nearest hundred in this case. Then 9 is a digit in the hundreds place. Next to the digit is a 3. Here, that's less than 5, so the 9 will stay the same. And the other numbers behind it will change to zeros. So 1932, rounded to the nearest hundred, would be 1,900. And finally, number 12 is to estimate the difference by rounding to the nearest thousand. In this case here, 33,633 minus 10,774. Let's find the digit in the thousands place. For 33,633, the second 3 is in the thousands place. Next to it is a 6. The 6 is bigger than 5, so we'll increase that to 34,000. And then for 10,744, the 0 is in the thousands place. Next to it is a 7. 7 is bigger than 5, so we increase that 0 to a 1, so that'll be 11,000. And then we'll subtract 11,000 from the 34,000 to get 23,000. Okay, so an estimate for this difference would be 23,000. Okay, and this should be enough to assist you with some of the problems that are on the MyMathLab interface.